If people used to tell you you were mature for your age, this video might completely change how you view your childhood and your nervous system. Being mature for your age was often framed as a compliment. However, for many high-achieving adults, it was actually a survival strategy. Today, we're going to talk about how this pattern develops, how it impacts you in adulthood, what it does to your nervous system, and how we can start to soften its impact without losing our competence or our strength. Adults tend to praise children who are easy, quiet, responsible, self-sufficient, emotionally contained, and other things. But the uncomfortable truth is, children who were often seen as mature were because they required so little care. It doesn't mean that those mature children were actually developmentally ready. It means they learned, consciously or unconsciously, that it took up space, or it wasn't safe, or it was too much to have needs. It's important to understand that in this context, maturity isn't growth, it's adaptation. So whether or not you heard as a child, oh, you're so mature for your age, I want to go through a quick list of how that may have showed up. So if you were mature for your age, this is what it may look like. Managing your own emotions early on. Being aware of adults' moods. Taking responsibility beyond your capacity. Minimizing your own needs. Not asking for help. Growing up faster than your nervous system could handle. You didn't grow up faster because you were gifted. You grew up faster because something in your environment demanded it. You didn't actually choose maturity. Your body determined that it felt safer. So I really want you to understand what this means from a nervous system perspective, because that's how it's going to be impacting you today. So let's talk about what the nervous system may have experienced and how it adapted. Your body learned that expressing needs didn't lead to comfort. Emotions needed to be controlled. Staying alert prevented problems. Independence reduced risk. Relying on yourself felt safer than relying on others. So now this is how your nervous system might have adapted. Staying in a state of low-level vigilance. I consider this like always being on. Prioritizing control over connection. Suppressing emotional signals. Becoming hyper-responsible. This is survival mode, not your personality, and it stays in your body long after your environment has changed. So now let's talk a little bit about how being mature for your age might now show up in adulthood. Being highly capable but deeply tired. Feeling safest when you're needed. Struggling to rest without guilt. Feeling uncomfortable receiving help. Over-functioning in relationships. Minimizing your emotions. Intellectualizing instead of feeling. Being praised for strength while privately burning out. Many high achievers that I see in therapy often say something along the lines of, I'm just so exhausted, but I've always been able to handle everything. And what I often remind them is that you learn to handle everything before your nervous system could be held. And that's when we start to have a conversation around self-care and boundaries and slowing down, which really starts to scare people. And we really start to have a conversation of the internalized stories. So I say this in my videos that I always work from a top-down story work therapy framework and a bottom-up somatic framework. So we need the nervous system to meet the stories we're telling ourselves, and we need to work with both in order to heal. So we're starting to understand a little bit about how the nervous system has affected, but I want you to get a sense of the story that may be accompanying it. So I'm going to give you a list of some common stories that I see people have internalized, and I want to see if you identify with any of them or if you can come up with your own after hearing some of these. I don't need much. I'll take care of it myself. Or sometimes this shows up as I can do it better myself. My feelings can wait, or someone else's feelings are more important than mine. I shouldn't be a burden. And I'm valued for what I do or how I handle things or how I support others. But the value is seen external to your existence. And I want you to know that whatever story you identified or created or that you've seen in yourself, it made sense then. It actually kept you safe. We're not here to shame the story. It truly did help us. But we reach a point where it no longer is supportive. And that's where we're at right now. The story kept you functioning, not fulfilled. You're going to see this show up as burnout, emotional disconnection, exhaustion, even sometimes resentment or irritability. I want you to listen to this because I can already feel the resistance coming up and the urge to click off the video because I'm telling you some uncomfortable truths potentially. But healing does not require you to become helpless or dependent. Your strength is a gift. We're not trying to diminish that. We're really trying to work with the nervous system to expand its capacity for support, okay? So here's where I want you to begin to start this healing. First of all, I want you to name the adaptation, not the flaw. So it can be really easy for us when our internalized stories show up for us to go, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Or like, why am I reacting like that? Or like, what's going on? I want you instead to start to ask yourself, where did my nervous system learn this? I want you to go back into the story because there is a reason for it. And again, we're not shaming the story. We want to support it. The second thing is to start to build the safety. So we can't just flip a switch and go, okay, don't think that, don't feel that. We need to start to teach our nervous system that it is safe to create a new story. So there are physiological cues that we can give it, right? Exhaling slower and longer, relaxing the shoulders, unclenching the jaw, shaking the hands, humming. These are small physiological cues that can help us to reconnect to safety, essentially. The third thing is to practice receiving, even if it's in a really small way. Allow someone to help you with something small. Express a preference you have that you might have kept to yourself before and not shared. Allow yourself to openly and freely receive a compliment without giving one back. We are rewriting the story that it is safe for us to receive support, to feel seen, to feel heard, to be held. The last thing is to re-story the meaning. So I want you to start to say something to yourself similar to the effect of, being mature kept me safe then, but what does support look like now? And I want you to answer yourself so honestly. I want you to know that if you were considered mature for your age, nothing was wrong with you. You were adaptive, you were attuned, and you are protective. And now the work is not about losing your strength. It's about building the capacity to receive support and accept care without performance, because care should not be conditional. One of you needed to hear that. You do not have to work for it. You inherently deserve it. If this resonated, please consider subscribing. I make new videos every Sunday, usually around nervous system healing and inner child work. I also post daily on Instagram and TikTok. All of those links will be in the description box down below. I will see you again soon.